Like any healthcare giant, J&J has a robust NPD process, from unmet need discovery and front end, all the way to launch excellence and product stabilization and lifecycle. Now, I've had the privilege of working across this entire continuum over the last decade at Johnson & Johnson, where I've advanced a wide range of surgical technologies, including device instrumentation, advanced visualization, digital solutions such as AR and VR, as well as robotic surgical systems. Plural, as in I progressed 2 platforms from 2 J&J acquisitions, Verb Surgical and Auris Health. And in February 2020, I was offered the opportunity to direct front-end innovation from Japan. The goal was to connect with Japanese clinicians to understand their unmet needs and then leverage these insights to generate front-end pipeline value, or EMPV. Our family navigated 12 relocations over the course of 1 year to get to Japan, so I could immerse within a network of Japanese partners, including regulatory and medical affairs, regional marketing, business dev, and local sales reps who connected me with their top-tier KOLs. But COVID exposed a fatal assumption that required me to redefine the systemic disconnect between global R&D and our Japanese commercial organization. A disconnect that still disproportionately marginalizes Japanese clinicians in comparison to their peers in the EU or US. The Japan team's plan depended on physical proximity and hierarchical political structures that were common in Japan but foreign within a Western business context. Thus, the Japan team believed that they needed an engineer to go to Japan, see stuff, and then go back to the US as a project director to make stuff, and that a handshake VP to VP would ensure success, which was a poor assumption in a US context. Additionally, the circle diagram I shared previously negated the power dynamics present within global R&D project prioritization. For innovation from Japan to flourish, a bridge builder between upstream R&D and downstream Japan was critical. Someone who could shift the beliefs of everyday innovators like engineers, directors, VPs, company group chairmen, or our global strategic marketing organization, which believed that Japanese insights were already present in their pipeline, as well as extended innovators, design houses, and extended R&D functions. But beyond a bridge, we needed to build a scalable innovation ecosystem, which was decentered from the influence of a singular leader such as myself. And to get there, we needed to start telling a different story. This story, and the work of an incredible global team, was centered on the mission and vision of reimagining innovation through intentional inclusion. We created this inclusion in 2 ways. First, by actively including the voice of Japanese clinicians within our R&D pipeline. And second, by creating a novel project structure where cross-functional members could join at 5 to 30% FTE, which is full-time effort, and co-lead critical projects that cross global boundaries. This agile, inclusive project structure allowed me to direct an ecosystem of 30 plus global collaborators and 10 projects in parallel with limited formal headcount budget. By bringing Japanese sales and regional marketing to the table with global strategic marketing and engineers, we quickly realized that Japan wasn't blowing smoke. The tricky part with any story is a conflicting plot line which derails the focus from the main narrative. This device is one of Ethicon's most treasured innovations, the Echelon-powered vascular stapler. Used to seal and transect critical blood vessels and artery bundles in thoracic surgery, the narrow neck of this device was heavily influenced by Japanese unmet needs. Most Japanese have a smaller BMI and chest cavity size than their US counterparts. Thus, this narrow neck was designed to fit between the ribs, creating greater room for maneuverability. Echelon was a massive financial success in Japan and globally. Yet this success reinforced a false narrative that Japanese clinicians are well heard within R&D. For instance, I remember presenting a product case study to various Japanese colleagues that detailed our NPD cadence process. As we develop a concept that has promising potential, we'll often do formative usability, testing with early prototypes. Putting our work in a clinician's hands ensures we have a strong product market fit in all regions, at least those that we test. For the case study, we completed formative usability with 100 plus surgeons in US, EU, Brazil, and China. And I'm sure you can guess what country was excluded from this foundational research. Japan. You could feel the air leave the room as the Japan team experienced the reality of their theorized exclusions and marginalizations. I've seen US marketing speak at Japanese KOLs in jargon-laden English, bypassing the real-time translators provided by the Japan team. These are some of the top clinicians in the world, and yet we can't even provide bilingual slides. And when these clinicians then raise a concern, such as a device being too large or difficult to fire for Japanese female surgeons, I've seen these comments brushed aside or explained away rather than being prioritized and ideated on. But what if we told a different story? A story where the voice of Japanese clinicians was elevated in equity with that of their Western peers. A story crafted by proximity, data-driven innovation, and questions like what if we completed J&J's largest ethnographic study on Japan's super-aged population, a truly unique yet growing demographic? What if we focused on patient care pathways for patients suffering from both thoracic cancer and comorbidities? What if we immersed in 30-plus surgeries across Japan, completed post-operative interviews, and engaged 80-plus KOLs? Well, we may find 200 issues that stifle a clinician's ability to adequately care for their patients. We may find 56 clinical unmet needs, such as a way for surgeons to navigate dense pleural adhesions in elderly populations with frail tissue in order to prevent intraoperative bleeding. We may find that after filtering these unmet needs, we can unlock a yearly economic loss of $700 million in Japan alone, a market primed for meaningful product innovation. But these innovations would never make it to market without first reimagining the volatile political landscape between US R&D and Japan commercial. Japanese business is incredibly relational and hierarchical, often driven by values of trust and harmony. We'll just say that a US context is driven by slightly different values. Decisions in Japan are typically nurtured from the bottom up in a process called horenso. They are then aligned at the top and executed at unity at lower levels quickly. Many from a Western context misperceive that Japanese decision-making is slow, when in fact, once alignment occurs, execution is often faster in a Japanese context, with limited realignment downstream, which is more common in a US context. Unfortunately, there is a power inversion in US R&D that blindsided the Japan commercial team. While VPs and directors do hold the power to determine which projects progress or get canceled, it's actually the engineers and global strategic marketing that actively shape a product to be responsive to the prioritized unmet needs. Without direct engagement at the lower levels, as well as alignment at the top, Japanese clinicians are left waiting. So here's the disconnect. A Japanese sales rep continues to experience shame as his top KOL expresses discontentment with a given product offering. This escalates to regional marketing, then to the president of Japan, then to the head of APAC commercial, who pushes it over the fence to the VP of R&D, where it possibly trickles down through project directors, global strategic marketing, and eventually to the engineers, who then have a shot at progressing an innovation. It's a terrible game of telephone and political posturing where everybody loses. And while some exceptional engineers and regional marketers do cross this fence to collaborate, it's not the norm, at least within our organization. But what if we could leverage advances in AR, VR, and digital ecosystems to create greater proximity between the on-the-ground innovators who shape the next generation of products and the clinicians waiting to be heard? What if we could teleport into surgery from anywhere on Earth, collaboratively complete ethnography, and have our insights persist as data to be mined downstream? While I can't disclose the specifics of said technology, features, financials, etc., I can say that with both an internal R&D team and external partnership, we went from a white paper to MVP in just under 2 years, guided by a multi-generational development plan. We crafted the system requirements with scalability in mind, so this platform could be leveraged in cardiovascular, orthopedics, vision, and general surgical applications. For the first time, Japanese sales reps, regional marketers, surgeons could be in the same procedure as R&D executive leadership, engineers, regulatory bodies, and medical affairs. And they could all look at the same moment in a procedure and unbiasedly determine whether innovation should or should not progress from an unmet need. This knocks down the fence and created greater proximity to regional clinicians than ever thought possible. I leveraged this same style of storytelling that you're experiencing today to cut across J&J's deeply matrixed organization and drive cross-opco alignment on the vision of collaborative digital ethnography. These videos, in addition to hands-on demos with directors, VPs, and company group chairmen, secured buy-in for my platform at a medtech enterprise-wide level. We made a future state reality, and we did it on behalf of every excluded clinician desperate to serve their patients well. In Japanese, there is an expression, shogunai, which literally means it is what it is. It's often used in moments of personal hardship where life is outside of our control. And unfortunately, when something is hard, confusing, and persists over time, we tend to adopt a shogunai mindset to problems that are actually within our control, something US R&D is guilty of. For example, early in my career as I was looking for opportunities in Japan, a mentor shared with me an unsolvable problem. He explained that Japanese were always slow when it came to product launches, sometimes lagging 3 to 5 years behind US and EU. I was troubled. Why are we so willing to make regional clinicians wait so long to heal? So I kicked off a team exploring NPD process improvements that proactively engaged Japanese partners sooner rather than later. And the impact of intentional inclusion is massive. One of our latest stapler commercializations for Echelon 3000 cleared Japanese regulatory bodies in 3 months behind US, and only 3 months behind US. That's a lot better than 3 to 5 years. I've crossed paths with hundreds of engineers at J&J, and I'm still amazed by how many of them simply believe that Japanese clinicians are too critical in comparison to other customers, that their standards are too high and not worth prioritizing. After an 11-hour case observation on a colorectal resection, I recorded a post-operative interview with a female clinician that changed my life and shifted the perspectives of my team. I leveraged a 360 camera so US R&D could sit across the table from her in VR and hear her voice. She then proceeded to demonstrate all the compromising movements she needed to complete in order to safely close and fire a powered stapler. She explained that it doesn't fit in her hands well based on her small hand size and its bulkiness. And then she noted that our competitor stapler fits just fine. See, proximity drives belief, and belief allows us to hear and internalize stories that are difficult. Stories that say that what we've worked on for years still isn't good enough. Yet stories that can convict us to push further. These stories galvanized my global team to reimagine what was possible, to move beyond the limitations of shogunai and cynicism against localized innovation, to move boldly forward and take ownership of historic R&D exclusion, to empathetically derive their next innovation by hearing every voice and bringing the best we could offer to millions of global clinicians that we serve, to never settle, to raise our standards to those who are depending on us to try. So hey friend, hopefully this video provides a clear view of my capabilities, passions, and potential as a global leader and innovator. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have as I try to keep this video brief and mid-upper level on details. It was a joy to pull this together for you and the team, and I'm eager to discover where you all need help telling a different story. So let's tell a new one together. Arigatou gozaimashita. Thanks, and I'm sure we'll chat again soon.